Welcome to the world of one of the most iconic and mysterious gods of ancient Egypt, Anubis. Depicted with a black jackal's head or as a full-bodied jackal, Anubis is one of the oldest Egyptian gods and stands as a symbol of the afterlife, mummification, guardian of tombs and funerary rites. Before Osiris took over some of his roles, he was often referred to as the Lord of the Underworld. The birth story of Anubis, just like many other mythological stories, comes in different versions. No version is seen as entirely right or wrong because Egyptian myths change over time and vary by region. In one of the earlier versions, Anubis is the son of Ra. But a later version tells us that Anubis is the son of Osiris, the king of the underworld, and Nephthys, a goddess associated with death and mourning. It is said that Nephthys disguised herself as Isis, the wife of Osiris, in order to seduce him. Anubis was born as a result of this union when Seth, the husband of Nephthys, found out about her infidelity. Nephthys, fearing his anger, abandoned Anubis. But the story doesn't end here. He was found by Isis, who raised him as her own child. Due to this, Anubis developed a deep connection with Isis, treating her as his true mother despite her only being his foster mother. However, there exist other forms of this narrative as well. Some versions suggest that Isis herself is the mother of Anubis. Another version tells us that Seth and Nephthys are the parents. You might wonder why there are so many stories about Anubis's parents. This is because ancient Egyptian history went on for thousands of years. Over this time, stories change as they are told and retold. This is like a big game of telephone. Also, in different parts of Egypt, people had different ideas about the gods. Anubis had many important roles in ancient Egyptian beliefs. He guided souls, protected cemeteries, and oversaw mummification. As a spiritual guide, he led departed souls through the underworld to face their judgment. Anubis was in charge of mummification, preserving bodies before their journey to the afterlife. As the god of embalming, he made sure the body was prepared properly for its final journey. The underworld, a place where souls go after death, was believed to be a complicated and scary realm. Anubis played an important role in helping these souls. His deep knowledge of the paths and areas in the underworld made him the perfect guide for spirits during their dangerous journey. Anubis made sure that the spirits reached their destination safely for a ceremony called the weighing of the heart. His judgments at these scales were final. This brings us to one of Anubis's main duties, the weighing of the heart ceremony, which happened in the Hall of Ma'at, where judgment took place in the afterlife. In this ceremony, the person's heart was compared to the feather of Ma'at, a symbol of truth and order. Anubis carefully weighed the heart. If it was lighter than the feather, it meant the person had lived a good life and could enter the afterlife safely. But if the heart was heavier, a monster called Amit would devour it, leading to a second death. His role added a lot of cultural importance to deaths and funerals in ancient Egypt. People often held ceremonies in his honor to ensure that the departed had a peaceful journey to the afterlife. The offerings and prayers to Anubis showed the affection and protective bond that the ancient Egyptians had with him. Even though he was associated with death and the afterlife, he wasn't feared. Instead, he was highly respected and honored. Throughout the world, many people have misunderstandings about Anubis, the ancient Egyptian god. First and foremost, many think of Anubis as the god of death and associate him with dark things. However, this is not entirely accurate. Anubis primarily guided souls into the afterlife, which involved protection and guidance more than being about death itself. Another myth is that Anubis decided who would go to heaven or hell. This is not quite true. His actual duty was to perform the weighing of the heart ceremony, where a heavy heart indicated a dishonest life, and a light heart meant a virtuous life, leading to safe passage to the afterlife. Due to his association with death, some people perceive Anubis as an evil or sinister deity. In Egyptian mythology, he played a vital and respected role in ensuring a safe passage to the afterlife rather than being an evil figure. Furthermore, Anubis is sometimes thought to be a jackal due to his unique depiction. However, his appearance as a man with a canine head or as a full-bodied dog or jackal is symbolic, representing the ancient Egyptians' desire for protection and guidance in their journey to the afterlife. Many misconceptions about ancient Egyptian deities exist today because of misunderstandings and simplifications of their complex mythology. As time went on, Anubis's job changed a lot when people started to follow Osiris. Osiris, who was often seen as a green-skinned king of the living, started to become more popular. Then, he took over from Anubis as the god of the underworld. Over time, people also saw Osiris as the god who gives all life, the growing plants and the flooding of the Nile River that made the soil fertile. When Osiris became more important, Anubis's job changed. He was no longer the boss of the afterlife, but started to help Osiris. He continued to do the important work with the rituals when someone died, especially mummifying the bodies and weighing the heart. Even with this change, Anubis was still a key god in ancient Egyptian stories. He might not have been the ruler of the underworld anymore, but people still respected him a lot. He was seen as the guide and protector of the dead. To sum up, over time, both Osiris and Anubis went through big changes in their jobs. These changes show how people's beliefs in ancient Egypt were not always the same, but changed over time. When we explore the symbols used in depictions of Anubis, we can gain insight into what he represented in ancient Egyptian culture. Anubis is frequently portrayed as a black jackal or as a man with a jackal's head. It's important to note that the color black wasn't chosen because it signified something negative. Instead, it was a symbol associated with the fertile black soil along the Nile River, which represented the concept of regeneration and renewal. This connection to the annual flooding of the Nile and the resulting rich soil conveyed ideas of growth and rebirth. The choice of the jackal image was also meaningful. Jackals were commonly spotted in desert areas, including graveyards. Over time, the people of ancient Egypt established a spiritual connection between these animals and Anubis, who served as the god of the afterlife. They perceived Anubis as a protective figure, ensuring that real jackals didn't disturb the peace of the deceased. In the art found in tombs and temples, we frequently see Anubis fulfilling his duties in death rituals. For instance, he may be depicted overseeing the mummification process or standing beside the scales during the weighing the heart ceremony. Anubis was highly respected and honored at various sacred sites throughout Egypt. He played a significant role as a divine guardian in funerary temples and the pharaoh's tombs. Although there weren't grand temples solely dedicated to him, his importance is clear in his presence at burial sites and in burial ceremonies. One important site linked to Anubis was the beautiful festival of the Wadi, which celebrated the journey of the deceased. You can find a statue of Anubis guarding the entrance to Tutankhamun's tomb, symbolizing his protective role. He sits atop a shrine, ensuring its safety. Another sacred place is the Anubeion in Saqqara, an ancient Egyptian burial ground. While it was initially thought to be a temple for Anubis, it was later discovered to be a burial site for sacred animals associated with the god. In Sinopolis, also known as the City of the Dog, Anubis was greatly revered. This form of admiration likely influenced how local residents perceived dogs and jackals. However, it's challenging to determine the direct impact this reverence for Anubis had on the domestication and breeding of these animals. Although there weren't large temples dedicated exclusively to Anubis, his presence at various sacred sites across Egypt highlights his significance in the transition from life to death. Anubis's constant presence in burial ceremonies emphasized to the Egyptians that death was not the end, but the start of another voyage. His fair and impartial judgment of hearts underscored the values of justice, virtue, and moral integrity. In modern times, Anubis's influence has extended far beyond Egypt thanks to art, literature, and popular culture. He has become one of the most frequently portrayed and recognized Egyptian deities. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the world of Anubis. If you've enjoyed this video, we invite you to subscribe to our channel, like, and share our content. Your support allows us to continue to bring the ancient tales back to light. Anubis's influence extends across time and borders, leaving an enduring mark on art, literature, and popular culture worldwide. As we conclude our discussion about this captivating deity, let's remember that Anubis represents more than just a god. He symbolizes humanity's timeless quest to understand life, death, and what lies beyond. Until our next adventure, may Anubis watch over you on your own life's journey, and may it be filled with wonder and discovery. Farewell.